over the top of the ear, and I'm coming out towards the temple. The temple is just like if you kind of came back right from your eyes, you're gonna feel this soft tissue like right in here. So I know that that is her temple, so I'm gonna be mindful as I carve over the temple that it's just gonna be sensitive. You're never gonna really hurt somebody because I'm watching the way that she's reacting. So that doesn't really matter. Just be mindful that it is a sensitive area. So I'm starting at the top of the ear, and I'm going to be carving my way along, heading out towards the temple. And then once I get to that brow bone, I'm going to really be isolating this brow bone and carving out all along the brow bone. And I'm going to try to get like underneath it, the ledge a little bit, directly on it, and then right off that ledge. Once I work my way to that inner corner of the eye, I'm going to take kind of this as a section. I'm working back and forth through the forehead with a pinpoint because there's no tissue depth. So it's scaling and pinpoint techniques for majority of this. And then you're always going to use your windshield wiper still. So then I'm going to be working from that brow bone, scaling my way back and forth, all the way up until I get to the hairline. Once I have done that, I'm going to work my way back down the forehead and really focus in the glabella. And so we can see that her liver's a little bit more irritated than her spleen, but because a right eyebrow line will indicate weakness in the liver and a left eyebrow line will indicate weakness in that spleen. So I'm really gonna focus on that glabella. This is going to be, and like I'm on these corners of the lacrimal bones, it's gonna look like my elbow is in her eye. It's not, but you need to have a pinpoint technique. And so like definitely practice on your like partners, your family, your friends with this a first couple times. Because if you slip that elbow off and hit them on their eye, that's gonna feel very unprofessional, like you're not in control. And so if you feel like your technique is still not there, practice with family first. Because like when I'm getting my elbow into that lacrimal bone, it literally looks like my elbow's almost on her eye. Same thing when I'm gonna be cleaning out the sinuses, but we really just need to have a pinpoint technique. And I have to mess around with the flexion and extension quite a bit to see what's necessary in certain areas so I can be like scooping in and grinding against those bones. So after I've focused on the glabella, I'm just going to work my way out along the other brow bone. Same thing that I just did on the first one, and I'm working, scanning my way back and forth using my scaling and pinpoint technique all the way to the hairline. Once I finish there, I'm going to tilt her head to this side, and I'm gonna come lightly over the temple and finish at the top of the ear. And that would have been me doing it all from face to face. I will be showing this all to you, but so I would have been sitting, facing this way. And then I would just flip myself back over face to feet, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing, working everything back. All the way to the other side. So then the forehead is done. So that's one section. Now I'm gonna head down to the sinus section, but I don't want you working one direction all the way from one side to the other because the sinuses hold a lot of infection from just like gluten, dairy, excess mucus. And so I'm going to finish one side from face to face, one side from face to feet, then I'll do this side. So when I go to do the sinuses, we are starting at the crow's feet. So right behind the eye, and I'm gonna come down and just kind of put your hands on your face and you can see this bone right like almost by that tiny little thing that Daryl was talking about when you were doing ears. That's called your conch. And so you're gonna be coming right off the conch and you're starting on that zygomatic bone. So I work my way from the crow's feet to the zygomatic bone beside the conch, and I'm going to try to carve underneath that sinus bone, directly on top of it and off the ledge of it. And I'm really going to be pinpoint and isolating that area. As I work my way in, once I get to her nose, I want a full clearance on that nasal bone. So I'm taking my thumb and on my guide hand, and I'm going to push the nose to the side. I tuck my elbow right in, and I'm going to be grinding against the side of that nasal bone to help get that nice sinus clearance. So like people who get like really bad sinus problems, a lot of congestion, people who have deviated septums, this is the treatment to focus on. So I'm gonna do that from face to face, and then I'm gonna do it from face to feet on the one side of the sinus. Then I'm gonna come over to the other side and then see how I'm flipping a lot. I'm gonna go back face to face, and I'm gonna do it on this side. Then I'm gonna go back face to feet. And I don't care, like you're spending, I'm gonna give you guys a certain amount of time. Like when we do the forehead, you're just kind of working all the way across it in one motion because the forehead's pretty hard, it can take a lot. But opposed to the sinuses and the TMJ area, those areas are gonna inflame a lot quicker. So you're gonna get 10 minutes one direction, 10 minutes the other. Then I'm gonna do one side of the sinus, 5 minutes one direction, 5 minutes the other. Same thing on the other side, 5 minutes one direction, 5 minutes the other. After I've done the sinuses, I would technically be ending up on this side, so now I'm just going to go to the TMJ. So come off that zygomatic bone, and then kind of relax your jaw, and then clench your jaw. You're gonna feel it contract. That little muscle contracting right here, you can see my fingers move. As this little muscle is contracting, I wanna come from the back of that mandible, that jawline, below the zygomatic bone, so it's from here to here, and then I can feel her teeth begin right here, but I have all this tissue right here. So it's like a tiny little square that you want to be working around. So I'm going to work that TMJ now, and that's the temporomandibular joint, and I'm going to play my angles. In the TMJ, you have lots of tendons and ligaments in your jawline that kind of come like this as we open and close. Then you know people who are like, oh, I'm getting a lot of clicking. So now they're getting scar tissue buildup. So as those tendons are coming up, they're snapping over each other. So I don't know the exact way that scar tissue went in there. So you're gonna have to pinpoint and play your windshield wiper quite a bit on this TMJ. And it is a sensitive area. And we call it the FU point because it is like for the emotional area, it's everything that we've said and had said to us. And it's like, you piss me off so much. I grind my teeth, I get angry. And so you're gonna have a lot, people who have like a hard time dealing with anger, this is going to be a very large emotional spot for them. So I'm going to work that TMJ from face to face first. And after I work that TMJ and I play all my angles, opening up those bands and strands, I'm going to isolate the mandible and I'm carving out along the mandible itself. And I wanna try to get my elbow a little bit underneath it, directly on top of it, and then off the ledge of it. But my finger will always be here to protect the teeth. After I've done that from face to face, I'm gonna do it again from face to feet. TMJ and mandible would be done. Then I'm going to flip her over. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this side. I can actually see that this side is more inflamed just visually. And I'm going to work this TMJ from face to face and out along the mandible to the chin, and then face to feet. And we stop just about at the chin, like right here. Once I have done that, I'm going to scooch her back a little bit more. So slide on back to me a little bit. And then she's looking back and up at me. That's perfect. Because I'm going to kind of pivot myself up and over. And I'm tucking my elbow right underneath that jawline. And I'm scooping up into here. Be mindful, we are only doing this from face to feet because I'm pulling up into it. And if not, I would be pulling towards the esophagus and trachea area. I do not want to hit that. So I'm just placing my elbow in here and I'm scooping in underneath. This is gonna be what's really good for that double chin and jowl area. So I'm carving along the sides of the mandible and right underneath the chin. And then I'll have her just kind of relax. I'm gonna isolate the chin. You know, like when we were working on like the patella or the calcaneus on the heel, and I was like just isolate because it's a circular area. I'm going to take my guide hand and I'm just placing my elbow on top and I'm going to isolate the chin itself. Once I've worked all around the chin, I have a pretty large elbow from carving it out for a long time, so I would either take a shot glass, my knuckles, or a gua sha stone, because we have them here, and I would use these like gua sha stones in this upper lip area. And when I'm doing this upper lip area, you're being mindful of the teeth and the gum lines. If they had dentures, you would just get them to take them out. So I want to work everything first, pulling down, and then I'm going to scoop up on this general area. And I'll go over like how to work this a little bit more once I've kind of gone through the whole face. But then I can like see like there's like grooves and indentations, so I can place it here as I'm dragging along. And I can even feel little bits of rippling in that jawline. And then if I wanted to isolate a specific area, I would like hold, and this is what she would be doing. She would like be holding and like working one direction, push, 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 push. I'm getting quite a bit of grinding even on mine. And then I'm gonna flip it around and I'm going to go the opposite direction. And then come off the ledge a little bit. Come underneath into it. So if I had like scarring, which I do have scars under my stone, so like one way you'll scoop in, the other way you'll push away from it. So just use it, but never scrub back and forth, because that's what's gonna damage the skin. Afterwards, like you got these like rollers and stuff, like you guys can, if you get a set of this, you can go in and like really start to stimulate after you've done the face. This is gonna help maybe subside some of the inflammation that's trying to set in after you've got your elbow in there and really recarved it out. So do things like that. Pretty good with the direction, everybody, that you think I'm okay for the demo? Beautiful. So I'm gonna take a bit of C60. And I'm going to start with a nice facial massage. And yes, I'll apply, but after I do the facial massage, I really want to just focus on like always stimulating everything up. We don't want to be pushing down too much because gravity naturally wants to pull things down anyways. All right, beginning with a nice like 5-minute facial massage. Come in, land, come around, and I'm going to be putting oil on every area that I'm working. So I'll get my fingertips like into that mandible area. Massage around the chin a little bit. Like light finger stimulation, bringing everything up, putting pressure, like this stuff feels pretty good, like putting pressure along the sinuses. Massaging around the temples. Pulling everything up around the forehead. Pressure along those brow bones. The lines that you get, so it's not about calcification, darling, the lines. So if you have a deep crease on one side, a deep crease on the other. So like what I was telling you, that's going to be the Mian Shang and Mian Yang. It's the Chinese facial reading, and so those would be the 2 points for that. So the line in the middle, I would probably just say like stress in general, but I don't think it correlates with an organ. That's my hip.
So it's not going like this?
Well, when you're doing that, you're getting one on either side. These TMJs are a little tight, but as I was saying, as I'm coming in, this one has like quite a bit of soft tissue in it, as this one feels a lot harder. Massaging lightly over those temples. Okay, after I began like so, I'm going to tilt her head to one side. And it doesn't matter what side you start on, you're working all the way across anyways. So I would just flip myself around and I'm gonna go face to face to begin. So I'm starting directly above the ear. I'm working lightly out onto the temple, carving out the brow bone and working into the forehead up into the hairline. And this is going to be that pinpoint and scaling. I don't want to see long movements here. I started just above the ear. I'm working out lightly over the temple. Playing little bits of windshield wiper at a time. Making sure I'm just pivoting and playing all my angles. I'm getting to the corner of the brow bone right now. So once I get here, I am just going to start to center her head up. Take this, perfect. Because I always just want separation. And I want to use my body weight, right, my body itself, to kind of like let her head rest against, because I'm going to be pulling it and I don't want it moving while I'm working. So I just don't want her laying on my pants, or in general, like not having that kind of layer of separation. So right now I'm pinching off on that brow bone. So it's kind of like I'm holding it and I'm carving off of it. So you really need to have a pinpoint movement. As I'm carving my way along, I'm starting to center her head up. Carve all the way into the lacrimal bone. And like right now, guys, I'm pulling off the corner of that lacrimal bone with my elbow. So it's very small movements. I'm in control of my elbow itself. And then I just want you working your way into the forehead all the way to the hairline.
If the eyebrows are sensitive, does it mean toxic liver and spleen?
No, not the eyebrow, that's going to be these corners, yeah.
It's not connected.
And those lines which goes from one eyebrow to the other, what those mean? Sometimes
If it's connected right across, there's like a band, I would just say that's crazy sinus inflammation that you've had, like constant congestion.
So,
What?
I said ta.
Ta?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Ta-da. Okay, so I worked my way all the way into the hairline. I'm going to focus directly in the middle at the glabella, third eye. So this for people who like feel like they're not like grounded and well in themselves, and they're like, oh, like everything's going wrong and I'm not in control. Really good area to open up, because it's your third eye. It helps like that insight, intuition, creates like motivates like creativity, and like, so I would want to focus on this if I just kind of like felt like stuck in my daily routine.